Hey everybody, so in this video I'm actually going to be talking about future mechanics that we could probably and hopefully see in the One Piece card game. We are currently on the third booster box in America. We are on the third booster box, Pillars of Strength. Japan already has the fourth box out, and I think they're already working on the fifth booster box. So I think this is the best time to talk about it since we're already three box in. And I could see a new mechanic coming to the card game either soon or in the future, and it's going to be the Haki mechanic. I like to think, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I like to think that Haki could be a good mechanic that could be implemented into the card game because it is also a very big part of the actual anime, because almost every character we know can use it. Like Luffy has Conqueror's armament, Katakuri, the main, like, almost the main bad guy of Whole Cake. I mean, obviously it was Big Mom, but he was like a very big threat in Whole Cake. He had very good observation Haki. Shanks, one of the emperors of the sea, he has very strong Conqueror's Haki. He was able to take out almost all of Whitebeard's crew, and even Whitebeard, saw him as a, I wouldn't say saw him as a threat, but he somewhat respected him. So Haki is a very big thing in the show, so I can see it coming as a mechanic in the card game. So let's just get right into it. So the very first Haki mechanic I can see coming into the card game is probably going to be observation Haki, because we don't really have a way of getting information as well unless you summon the cards, because the only type of information cards we have is probably going to be like the one drop searcher cards, and you can only do that if you summon them out. So like we have the Jewelry Bonnie, we have the Momonosuke I have in my Kozuki Odin deck, and we have a bunch of others like Bartholomew Kuma, which lets you search up to the top three, and then you put them back either at the top or the bottom of your deck in any order. So observation Haki can be used like the way some cards in Magic the Gathering work, where you can look at the top card of your library at any time you want, pretty much to help you just keep information, right? Information is always good in card games. It helps you like pretty much plan one step ahead of your opponent. So the way I can see it working, because in the anime it really depends how strong you are with your Haki abilities. Like Shanks is the strongest Conqueror's Haki user as far as we know. Observation Haki is really good. If you're really strong in a certain type of Haki, you're pretty much quote unquote unbeatable. You're just very well talented in the ability. So pretty much observation Haki would just let you look at the top card of your deck at any time, or I thought you could also use it to look at cards in your life. It's only like one card in your life. You can't look at all of them, right? That'd be too overpowered. You just look at one, at a time. Pretty much at the beginning of the game, you start the game, right? You choose whether you want to do your side of the field or your opponent's side of the field. So you declare that, which will then let you either, if you chose your side of the field at any time, you can look at the top card of your deck, or once per turn, you could look at one card in your life. So take your pick, right? It could really help you with your side of the field, because depending on what deck you have, say like the Doflamingo deck that lets you summon a 7 warlord from the top of your deck, if there is one. But with the observation Haki, you can look at the top card of your deck at any time. You'll know what's there. So it's like another way for information. Not to mention, if you chose your opponent, then you know what they're going to draw next, and the possibility of the card they could get from their life. So it really just depends on how you want to play the game and how you want to strategize ahead of time. It's a really good way for information, because information in card games is actually really good. It's a way to pretty much guarantee profit. I don't know the word exactly, but it helps you with your deck building. It would help you with your deck building, because you get to see the top card of your deck, you get to know what's in your life, or your opponent's. You pretty much get to learn your opponent's deck depending on what they draw and what's in their life as well. Like you'll know what they'll draw next from their deck, or you'll know what they could trigger if there is one. So information is very big, and we don't really have a lot of cards that give enough information. So that's what observation Haki could be done with in the card game. The next one is probably obviously gonna be Conqueror's Haki, because I'm pretty sure Conqueror's Haki is the first one that was shown in the anime with Shanks. So Conqueror's Haki pretty much is a way to, like, pretty much, either be aggressive or defensive in a certain type of way. So the way that Conqueror's Haki works in the show is that if you have a very strong Conqueror's Haki, you're able to just knock out people who can't withstand your power. Like they can't understand the fathom of you having that dog in you. You know what that, like when Shanks walked onto Whitebeard's ship, half of Whitebeard's crew just immediately fainted because they couldn't handle the overwhelming power of Shanks. Like his Conqueror's Haki was just that strong that it pretty much leaked out of him. Like I'm pretty sure he wasn't even choosing to use Conqueror's Haki when he walked onto the ship. So Conqueror's Haki could either be used to like stop one of your opponent's attacks, or it can rest an opponent's character or leader. So it would either like negate an attack, or you can rest an opponent's character, which will stop a block, or it could rest a leader. So like either a leader ability couldn't get off in some type of way, or it could affect the amount of counter your opponent can use during a battle, because Conqueror's Haki is so strong that it pretty much knocks out any type of like a threat. So like if somebody tries to out counter you, it affects the amount of the counter in your opponent's like counter area. So I guess that one would really depend on a certain type of leader. Like the Conqueror's Haki will make it to where counters your opponent's play are minus 1,000. So like if they boost it up to 8k, they just take 1,000 off the counter, so it's down to 7k. So it really depends on how they would implement that, because I feel like if they did do the affect the counter ability, affect the amount of the counter, it would have to be like leader based. So like if Shanks had the Conqueror's Haki ability, this mechanic, he'd probably minus 3k, because he is the strongest Conqueror's Haki user as far as we know right now. We don't know yet, since the show is technically getting close to the ending, but there's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been introduced yet. Like character wise, like I'm pretty sure Oda is gonna throw in some more characters that we don't know about. So the very last one I have is Armament Haki, and I couldn't really think of a lot of stuff for Armament Haki. The one thing I could come up with is it could give a character card either blocker, or it could boost their attack power. So like say you have a 5k on the board, Armament Haki would be able to pretty much boost them up by a certain amount. I guess this one would also have to depend on a leader of some type. Or it's just like a base set of like Armament Haki will give them plus 1,000. So I also gave it blocker because Armament is just like, I think the way Armament works is it's pretty much just like your skin becoming hardened, because as far as I know, in the anime, like their skin doesn't actually become black. It's just a way to show that the Armament Haki is on them. They just showed it that way so that you could see the actual Haki. Like in their world, their skin doesn't turn black. Like it's just there. It's just on them. So Armament Haki could be used to either give it like a character card blocker, which is good, right? Blockers are always good. Stops an attack, or it can help you get some more damage in. There's also Ryuo, which is just how they called Armament Haki in the land of Wano. But if you think about it, like my friend explained it to me in a way that made it understandable. So like think of Ryuo as like a different type of armament, where we saw Luffy use it, where like when he hits, the punch is extended through armor, which is why he was able to hit Kaido. So like what you could do with that as well, second ability that armament could have is like if somebody were to activate blocker and you used armament, you could actually go through the blocker and actually still hit your original target. So say you're hitting leader and you use the Ryuo armament and they try to switch to blocker, because of Ryuo armament, it would just go straight through the blocker and hit the original target you're still attacking. So they would still have to out counter. I could see this being a little overpowered if like you had all three of these or even two of these at once, because if you had the Ryuo armament plus Conqueror's Haki, that could affect counter. If you use the Ryuo armament to hit your original target to go through blockers, with your Conqueror's Haki as well, you could also affect the amount of counters they have, because the Ryuo armament's going through blockers, so they can't stop it, so they're gonna have to out counter. But because you have Conqueror's Haki as well, they're gonna have to counter even more. So it really depends on how if this ever does get implemented, it really depends on the balancing. I could really only see us being able to use one at a time, depending on either leader, or if these are just base stats that the actual player can choose to have, or they just put these Haki abilities onto the actual leaders, or even character cards. I could mostly probably see them on leaders for the starting part of it, if they ever do implement it, just to test out the waters. But I could see this being an actual mechanic that could work. I'm really interested on the Ryo armament that I came up with, because like that just makes sense. That's how Ryo works, where he pretty much punches and it goes through. Like the punch is extended. So like when he hits Kaido on his like super tough armor, the punch that Luffy did is extended through the armor, so he hits him to deal damage. So that's why I thought of Ryo being able to go through blockers and still hit your original target. These things are just popping into my head, you know, thinking how they could be implemented in the game while I was playing with a friend. So at the time, right, I just thought of these as ideas. I don't know if they're overpowered or not. So if they are, you know, let me know. Let's just try to scheme up on how they could work in the actual game. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully this didn't sound too crazy, and I'm just not like, I'm not Charlie Day standing in front of the whiteboard going nuts thinking of this new mechanic. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.